right, this is part 2 of the Excel 1 introduction. And now I've returned back to my computer and I've clicked on my OneDrive. And then here is my updated one. It's 3 minutes past that time now, so I do know this is my updated version. I'm going to give that a double click so it opens in the desktop version of Excel. So we'll give it a moment to load. All right, so once it opens up in the desktop version, it may very well open in read-only mode. That's how mine is, which says, hey, you can't edit this. This is in the cloud. And we know that because we just created it in the cloud. But what we're going to tell it is, yeah, we know, but we want to edit it anyway. So what it's going to do, I'm going to save and edit a copy of the file. And it does this sometimes. It'll say the file is in use. So if that happens to you, and actually let me hit cancel for a second. Sometimes if you click off of it and give it a second, see how the little green check mark changed? If you click off of it, sometimes then it will allow you to unlock it. Let's go see if it let me or not. Okay, it still doesn't want to. So I'm going to save and edit a copy of the file. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to make me have another name. I'm going to go ahead and just call this one underscore desktop. So I know this is the second version of this. So just know that you may have sort of a second version floating around if you decide to go from the mobile version to the desktop version. We're not uploading this, so it's fine. But if you were going to upload it, you know, for grading to Sam or whatever, you just might want to make an extra little folder and put that new copy in the folder. Okay, so we're in here. We're going to create a new worksheet in the workbook after the holidays one. So we're going to hit plus. And you'll notice again, this one's going to be a tiny bit different because when I double click to name this one Amazon, it doesn't open in another box. So there we go. I've got it called Amazon. We're going to go back to the snacks worksheet so we can copy some data. Before we do that, we're going to scroll down and make some formatting changes. So we're going to go all the way down to B163. I'm going to go ahead and use my name box to jump down there just because I like to do that and hit enter. Now we're down here and we can see all of this. We've got several things going on in this part of the worksheet. Remember, these are called sheets and they're all together make up a workbook. So when you name the Excel file, you're naming the workbook and these are worksheets, right? So we're going to set the range B163, that's where it says the word budget, to C164, which is where it has that within budget, okay? We're going to shade that the standard color light green. So we're going to go to our shading bucket, the paint bucket up there, and it's going to be light green on the bottom row. There it is, light green. Next, we're going to set our title in A147 where it says Amazon Family Package. We're going to go ahead and set that to Arial Black 14. And there we go. I'm going to hit up twice to get to 14. I skipped underlining my headings. So I'm just going to select all of these in 149, row 149, and hit the underline button, or you can press Control U and click off of that so you can see that they are indeed underlined. 24D is to bold the total words. So where it says total, I'm going to go ahead and hit B for bold. And then finally, we're going to set the range E157. So E157, that's under the price, to E161. So those even to those 4 or those 5 labels that are off to the left. We're going to set that to be shaded, and we're going to go to green. Now this is not in the standard colors, these are theme colors, so it's that final column. It's going to be green accent 6, lighter 80%. It's that really pale one. Okay, so at this point now, we are going to be ready to cut these cells, and we're going to paste them elsewhere. So let's go ahead and select that range, A147, all the way to F164. And we're going to cut it. So hit your scissors. Remember, it puts the little ants around it. You're going to go to your Amazon worksheet that we already created. Click in A1 if it's not, and then come up and hit the paste button. That will paste it with all the formatting. So that brings in all the green and all that stuff. Okay. All right. So next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to enter some data in C4. So find C4 where it says product ID. We're going to type H1-1. Now, it might be best for you to watch me do this before you attempt to do this because we're getting ready to use a feature called Flash Fill. And Flash Fill only works if you don't mess up and backspace in the middle of doing this. I know that sounds weird, but it's just the truth. So H1-1, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to type H2-2. Now I haven't even got it typed all the way in. What it's doing is it's recognizing a pattern. Over there it's looking in item number, and it says H1, and then it saw that I did a 1, and then H2, and it saw that I did a 2. And then it sees the ET, and that's going to be the first ET1, and so forth. It's following the pattern. And see, it pops up. So when that pops up, all you have to do is press enter. And then it types those in for you. That's called flash fill. Notice that there's a lightning bolt that pops up. These are your flash fill options. You can choose to undo it. That's an option in there as well. I actually am going to undo it just so I can show you how to do it if for some reason it's not working, or if you backspaced and it's not being very friendly. Okay. So in order to fill it manually, you would highlight those two that we already did, plus the rest of that column. Notice that flash fill, the button actually looks like it pops up, but it isn't. It's a different button. So you're going to go up here to this down arrow button. This is the fill button. So over in the editing group and hit down, and then there's that lightning bolt, the flash fill. And there you go. It did the exact same thing, and then that lightning bolt actually pops up again. So that's called flash fill. And of course, it doesn't matter too much when we only have like 6. But if you had a worksheet with like 100 names in it, that would save you a ton of time. All right. Next, we're going to Autofit columns B, C, and D. Remember, you click between the columns up on the headers. So I'm going to double click here to Autofit B, C, and D. And that's what that looks like. All right, number 28, select the non-adjacent ranges. So they're non-adjacent means they're not touching. We're going to have to select the first one and press Control. B4 to B9, then hold the Control key, and go to D4 to D9. All right, now that we have those both set, we're going to go to set the font color here to green accent 6. That's the top row, and then down on the far right, darker 25%. There we go. And we've got that in there. Next, we're going to select that range E4 to E9, where the price and all these monies are. E4 to E9. And you're going to go up to the number. Instead of setting this to general format, what you'll notice is when this was entered in, some of it was entered in with decimals, and one of them is entered in with a dollar sign. That dollar sign is hugging on the number. That's what they call currency format. But we're going to want accounting format, which is where all the dollar signs are lined up on the left of the cell. So I'm going to click on my drop down and go to accounting. And bam, there we go. All those dollar signs are lined up at the left. And that's how we do accounting format. All right, instruction number 30. In cell G3, we're going to add a label. So come up to G3. The label that we're going to add is total. And when you press enter, it probably will pick up on the underlining from over there on F, which is correct. If it does not, go ahead and underline that. In G4, we're going to create a formula. Now there are formulas and there are functions. Formulas are what I like to refer to as like number sentences. You know, if you're thinking about math, like something plus something, something minus something, something times something. Those are formulas. Functions have words and parentheses. Okay, we're going to do a formula on this one. We're going to multiply the price in E4 by the quantity in F4. Okay, so to type in a formula, formulas and functions for that matter both start with equal signs. So I'm going to type an equal sign first. That tells it that it's preparing for some sort of math. And then you can type in the cell references for your formula, or you can click on them, and that's what I do because I'm lazy. So I can sit here on quantity, and then I can say times, which is the asterisk key. That's shift and above the number 8. And then click on my price. And I like it because they highlight those. And even if I don't click on them, they would still highlight. So if I would have just typed F4, that one still would have turned blue, and this one still would have turned red. Okay, press enter, and you get the math done for you. So that should come up 119. Then we're going to click back on that cell. And if you look in the corner, the right-hand corner of the cell, there's a funny little notch. And when you point your mouse to it, it looks like a plus sign. That's called a fill handle. And if you want to copy your formula down so I don't have to go through and do this all these times, you're just going to click on that little handle and pull down and let go. And that's going to put all of those numbers in there for you. Now I'm going to come down and double click on the last one just so you can see that it is actually updating my formula. Double click it and look. See, it's looking in this box times this box, and that's correct. Now don't start clicking anywhere or you're going to mess up your formula. So just press escape, and then we're back to normal. Okay, so that's how we fill down and copy formulas, by using that fill handle. Okay, next in cell, let's see, E11, we are going to pop down here into the green zone, and we're going to enter a function. So a function, as I said earlier, is going to be an equal sign, some sort of word, and parentheses. Now we have a little button here up on the top called the AutoSum button. This AutoSum button up here can be used to do a lot of your basic functions. I'm going to hit the drop down arrow here, and you're going to see sum, which hopefully you've been in math long enough to know that sum adds numbers up. Average, you can guess what that does. Count counts how many of something. So instead of adding the numbers, it just counts like how many. Like if I count these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 different things. So that would count 6. Max would be the biggest number. It would look at the range and find the biggest, and min would find the smallest. Very simple. So in here, I can type in my function, or I can use this little drop down if it's one of these simple ones. I'll show you using the drop down. So I'm going to come here and say we need to count how many unique items there are. We know there's 6 because I can use my eyeballs and look. But I'm going to hit this, and then notice what it says is equals count, and then in parentheses my range. Now I don't need to count E10 because that's empty. So I could just pop into here and edit my function and just go ahead and type in E9. And there we go. We've updated that function. And then just press enter. And we should get that number 6. But I could very easily have just typed this whole thing in. I could have said equals, count, open parentheses, take your mouse and just drag over that range and close the parentheses. And then just press enter. Either one of those would work. Okay, number 34 says in cell E12, enter a function to add the range G4 to G9. So let's go ahead and use the AutoSum button. This time we're adding them, so we're going to click the AutoSum button and choose Sum to add. So this one's all kinds of confused. It's like, okay, let's sum that number. Well, that's not right. Let's just update that manually. I'll click into the parentheses and backspace that out. And then what's my range? Well, it's those numbers up there. So E4, and it'll turn blue, and then colon, and then wherever the last number is, E9. And notice it doesn't matter whether these are capital or not. And then just press enter, and that accepts that. So hopefully you're getting proper answers here. Actually, red alert, we're adding up the prices. That's not what we should be adding. We should be adding up the totals. So let's go ahead and update that function. Let's go ahead and double click in here again. And then notice that where I typed it in, I can just reselect it. So I'm just going to come back over here and I'm going to reselect. Now notice that if you've still got those highlighted, that's going to mess that up. So you want to select all those first, and there we go. Okay, and then we can press enter. So $8.99.84 should be your right answer on this one, because again, we're adding up the total amount here of the order. All right, let's go ahead and type in a tax rate. In my instructions, I go ahead and tell you to just type in 5 and the percent key for 5%. We're going to do some math using that in a moment. And we're going to take our total order, multiply by our tax rate, and that's going to give us our tax. So down here in E14, we're going to enter a formula. So remember, a formula is equals, and it's like a number sentence. So we're going to take our total amount of order, and I'm going to go ahead and just click it. We're going to multiply. So that's the asterisk, shift, and your number 8. And we're going to multiply it times the tax rate. And then we're just going to press enter. Now, why did we do that? I'm going to double click that. Why did I just not type in 5%? Well, because since we used this formula, and I'm going to go ahead and enter again, if I were to change this tax rate to say 10% and press enter, it would automatically update that. And that's the beauty of using these, is if we change a number somewhere. So if I make this $1, it's on sale, it updates every single one of these things. Okay, now I'm going to undo that because we don't want that number up there. But that's the power of using these formulas instead of typing in the actual numbers. Okay. Moving on here, we got $44.99 for our estimated tax. Let's go to cell, let's see where we at. Cell E15. And this is instruction 36. We're going to enter a formula that adds the total amount of the order plus the estimated tax. So again, we're doing a formula, not a function. So formulas are number sentences. Remember, they begin with an equal sign. And we're going to take the total amount of the order plus, so we're going to put a plus sign, the estimated tax rate or tax amount. So we're going to click on that and press enter. So that's E12 plus E14, and we should get 944.83. All right, we're almost done here. Instruction 37 is to set the row height to row 3 to 30 characters. That's the row that has the underlines on it. I'm just going to select that row. Remember that we click the big gray button in order to select the entire row. You can right click to select that row height, or you can come up here to format and do your row height in here as well. It's the very top one. And then we're just going to type in the number of characters. In this particular case, I have, if I can find it, 30 characters. So we'll type in 30 and hit OK. And there we go. Now it's taller, and that looks a little bit nicer there. All right, then it says in the instructions, you'll like this because we did it to mimic what the book's going to do. It says review the information and answer the question in C18. So C18 says, are we within budget? So here's our total, and our budget was $750. Are we within budget? No. We're just going to type no in here and hit enter. Notice that numbers line up automatically on the right-hand side. Values line up on the left-hand side. So do know that that is one big difference that you'll notice whenever you're utilizing Excel to do a spreadsheet. Okay, number 39, we're going to select and move this range. So we're going to take that B7, so our green stuff, B7 to that C18, and we're going to pick this up and scoot it. So once you select something, you're going to point to the top of it and get kind of a funny little, I don't know, compass looking thing, and up and down and left and right arrow. And we're going to pick it up and we're going to click it and drag it. In this one, we're going to move this all the way over to G14. So I'm going to find G14. I think that's G14. There we go. G14 to H15. It's lighting up to tell you that's where I'm going to drop that at. And bam. There we go. We've got it in there. All right, now we need to autofit column G. So let's click off of that. We're going to double click here and autofit that column because we're cutting off the words and we don't want to do that. All right, 41 in cell G12. So we're going to come to G12. Right next to this total amount of order, we're going to actually add the numbers up that are above there just to kind of be a double check. So we're going to use the AutoSum feature. I'm going to come up here and we're adding them. So we're going to sum. And again, we need to select the range. So while that's all highlighted, we'll select over the proper range and then just go ahead and press enter, and it should match the number over there next to it. Your next instruction is simply to add a thick outside border to that cell G12. So back up to your borders button, and there's one that's called thick outside border. We're going to give that a click. And if you click off of it, you'll actually see that it has a nice thick border. All right, our last couple things, we're just going to look at this page. If we were going to print it, we would go to File and Print, and we would see a preview over here on the side. So you can see here what this would look like. It's actually 2 pages long. If we scoot over there, it's not all fitting on one page, which is not really a good thing. So we're going to go over how we can change some things. So we are going to go ahead and change this to landscape. Now I'm just going to back out of this because now we can see the little lines. See these little dashed lines? That shows you where the page is breaking. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to page layout just like I would in Word. We're going to switch this to landscape orientation. That's going to turn it around. And we're also going to set this so that it would all print on one page. Now we're going to do something funny here. We're going to come down here below where this page would be, and it's about 40 or somewhere. And the instructions, I tell you to type it in A40. So we're going to scroll all the way down here to A40. Now see these little dash lines? This tells you where the page ends, where it stops printing. But in A40, we're going to come down here and type help me, because this little guy, he's hanging off the page. If I go to File and Print now and I go look at it on my print preview, all of this fits now beautifully. But if we go to page 2, poor little help me, he's hanging out over there all lonesome. Okay, there's 2 ways to make him fit on one page. We can do it from this print box where it says no scaling. We can say fit the sheet on one page. And if you look here, Give it a second. There we go. Now it makes it all, shrinks it all down so it fits. Now I'm going to switch that back to normal to no scaling. And then I'm going to show you how to do that from just over in regular Excel without going to the print menu. It's right up here where it says scale to fit under page layout. So right now it's set for a scale of 100, but obviously it has to be less than 100 to fit. So we just come up here where it says width, and I say 1 page for the width, and then I say 1 page for the height. And that would then make it all fit on 1 page because it's 1 by 1. And I could go back in here and prove it to you under print preview, but I'm just going to let you take my word for it. All right, last couple instructions. Unhide the high worksheet. Remember earlier we hid a worksheet? Now we're just going to right click down here and go to unhide. And there it is. There's our hidden little worksheet. It says hi because it's waiting on us. And there it is. Beautiful. We're going to move high to first position. So just click and drag it until it's in the first position of the worksheet, or workbook rather. And then we're going to make one last one called by. So we're going to click here. It puts it right next to high, which is not where we want it to be. We want it to be at the end. So we're going to click and drag it and put it on the end. And then just like our textbook would have us to do, we're going to delete the by worksheet after we made it. Because that always makes us do stuff like that and makes everybody mad. All right, and that's pretty much it. Now, one last thing I do want to show you is how to look at your formulas. So we know we can click over here where we have formulas, and we can look up here in the formula bar, and it's going to show us the formulas. But you can also go in here to actually see the formulas. If you click on the Formulas tab, you can click on Show Formulas. That will show you all those formulas. It opens them all up so you can see them. Okay? And so if I was checking your screen and I wanted to make sure you didn't just randomly type numbers in there, I would have you show formulas. Now you can press that button again to turn them off. If you notice when I point my mouse to that, it tells you there's a shortcut key. It's Control and the tilde button. That's the one to the left of the number 1 on the top. I'm sorry. Yeah, Control and tilde right to the left of number 1. So if I press Control and that, it goes back. Or if I press it again, it puts those formulas back there. You can toggle that. I call that toggling. You can toggle that on and off. And there we go. Now, of course, we're on the desktop version, so we need to hit save here to make sure we save our work. And there we go. So you have now completed the introduction. That's covered everything you need to know for Excel 1. You're ready to head into the end of module and the big exam for Excel Chapter 1. Good luck.